Every update will see things change within Call of Duty, or really any game for that matter. It doesn't matter the title, but with Call of Duty in our focus in particular, every so often when it comes to updates, we also get things thrown into the mix that maybe we aren't supposed to see just yet beneath the surface, that keen-eyed data miners who know how to look and where to look can piece together and give us representations of things to come. Today we're going over Season 2 Reloaded's update because that was no exception. We didn't quite get around to covering this last week right after the update, but there's definitely some stuff that you will not want to miss out on, from Vanguard to even Cold War, and honestly, maybe even a bigger emphasis on Cold War and the grand scale of things and these items coming. Today we're breaking down all of that, so as we go along, drop your thoughts down below. Are you looking forward to any particular item mentioned? If you could add one thing to any DLC, whether it be Vanguard, Warzone, Cold War, or Modern Warfare, what would it be? As well, if you enjoyed the video, do me a favor, drop a like on the video, and if you're new to the channel, do be sure to hit the subscribe button to stay up to date with all things COD related, and join us on that road to 500,000 subscribers. And finally, as always, if you'd ever like to support the channel a little further, an entirely optional way to do so is by using creator code ESPRESSO in the support a creator function of the COD shop, but don't ever feel pressured to. That said, let's jump into it. So to start, as always, we're gonna have to lay some ground rules here. Number one, leaks, data mined information, and things of that nature are always subject to change. Just because something is in the game files does not mean that it will always be added to the game as exactly as we interpret it. Leaks like this from the game's files and assets are bits and pieces of what is ultimately a larger picture that we can infer is coming based off of what we see. Whether those inferences are indeed 100% correct is only something that time can tell. Number two, as with all leaks and data mine discussion, we unfortunately cannot put any images up on screen. Though this time around there really isn't as many. It's more information based rather than straight up like gameplay or something leaked, but the point stands. Anything that could be visually represented will be withheld due to intellectual copyright law. Links to any relevant information origins though can be found in the description below. And number three, the information today comes from Reality UK and Not Alex, both of whom we've talked about here on the channel, and both of whom have very solid track records with their past leaks and information. Again, links can be found in the description below. Starting out with some of the more relevant information per se into the mainline title right now, Vanguard had a little bit of stuff come out in regards to leaks here. Stuff that we kind of see with every major seasonal update, some stuff that may be hit or miss here for you. Surprisingly, not really anything outside of a melee weapon in terms of weaponry was data mined. That melee weapon was the Sledgehammer's melee code, though that's something that just because the code's there, that could still be a ways off. But in terms of other leaks, we saw some operators, a new equipment, a new perk, and two new maps talked about within the game files. As for the operators, we see a handful of these here, those being named Callum, Tiburon, Icona, Kenosha, Muskegon, Doggett, Butcher, Famine, Aztec, and Green Bay. Now, we of course normally see about 3 operators every single season, so this could be something that actually, based off the numbers here, could end up being basically the rest of our operators for the entire content season. Whether or not they all come or not, that's something that only time will tell. We of course did see with Modern Warfare 2019 that a ton of operators leaked around like the launch of the game, but there were about a dozen of those that never actually made it into the game as actual operators. So the content was planned and there were concept pieces for them, but this could be something like that, where maybe it finishes out all of the rest of the operators, maybe some of these don't come to fruition. As for the new equipment, it's apparently going to be called Serum, in which this temporarily increases movement speed, flinch resistance, and stability while reducing incoming damage. So seemingly something that will have to be situationally based, kind of like a stim, being that also is an equipment, but giving you that speed boost, additional flinch resistance, and stability. But I'd be very curious to know how this will actually end up working in regards to balance, in regards to how long it lasts, and other things like that. Now that, along with the new perk, probably could be something within the Season 3 Battle Pass that we see. We've seen equipment and perks added into both the Season 1 and Season 2 Battle Passes here for Vanguard that only stay in Vanguard. Those perks don't go over into, say, Warzone or anything like that, which is definitely nice. But that said, as for the perk that was found here with this, it's called Evasive, in which it's apparently going to refresh your tactical sprint more quickly after sprinting into a slide or jump. So basically the way that I kind of envision this right now is an alternative to double time, but also being something that plays more so into that tac sprint chain-based movement mechanic from Warzone, but more so in Vanguard, giving those players that do that all the time within Warzone a little bit more of some maybe movement help within Vanguard as well. That was one of the big things that whenever like the beta for Vanguard came out, that the attack sprint wasn't 1-to-1 with Modern Warfare 2019 and Warzone, so this may be a way to sort of mitigate that entirely, even though it has gotten a little bit better since the beta. Outside of that, Vanguard interesting things, there are 2 maps here that were found in the game files. USS Texas was apparently re-added back into the game files after being removed, so that's a map that would be returning here from Call of Duty World War II, and then a new map was apparently codenamed Grow House. Now, that was one that may be an indication for maybe Season 3 or beyond, because if you guys remember, back whenever the game launched, we saw a map that sort of glitched into private matches or into lobby matchmaking, where it was Casablanca. But Casablanca didn't come until Season 2, so that could be still a ways off. Now, that's the Vanguard stuff, but again, that's some more minor things. When we take a look at grand scale content coming, Cold War actually might have a lot on deck you may be interested in year 2 of content. This coming from Alex, he ended up tweeting about Jungle making its debut here within Black Ops Cold War, and that's something that's been rumored for quite some time. It's not as much a surprise as you may think. A lot of people thought that this would be coming when WMD came out, but it seems like this will just be staggered a little bit further and continue on to maybe Season 3, Season 3.5. We'll have to wait and see, but the interesting part is that he mentioned that this isn't the end here for the multiplayer content, in which he actually went a step further and gave us a tweet teasing some other maps found in the game files, using the lettering of FR, G, H, L, and S. Now, there's a lot of guesses that you could have here with this, but it's very likely that these could be Firing Range, Grind, Havana, Launch, and Summit. Now, these are all maps that would be classic maps coming back for Black Ops Cold War, sure, and fits that sort of narrative that we saw with Black Ops Cold War DLC maps that are sort of extra and not built just for Black Ops Cold War, those remasters being sort of one-to-one pulls from the games they were in previously, because, well, all of these were Black Ops 4 remasters of classic maps, which without any knowledge on game design or game engineering, it seems like this would be the most logical choice, because I can't imagine that takes much more work to port everything over versus building something up from the ground up. So that's something that could be added in here to Black Ops Cold War, and Alex seems to think so. Except it gets even crazier because Zombies was also mentioned here for additional content. There has been, since Black Ops 3, the rumor of a Zombies Chronicles 2 happening at some point. But while this doesn't necessarily indicate a Zombies Chronicles 2 entirely, Alex ended up mentioning that Victus is still alive, and he ended up tweeting pictures of Buried and Die Rise. Now, these two were maps that were originally on that proposed Zombies Chronicles 2 map list for quite some time, but he also hinted at that there would be more than just those coming as well. So whether or not that's something that's dropped in a Zombies Chronicles 2, or if it's something that is maybe one per every season, every other season, because we did see that, of course, we had that Activision confirmation that we'd be getting more remasters here in the next upcoming year. It's quite possible we get those as well, which if you're a Zombies fan, of course, with Vanguard Zombies not really scratching your itch more than likely, I would imagine probably like 90% of Zombies fans aren't too keen on what Vanguard Zombies has been doing gameplay and content distribution wise. Story may be cool, but everything outside of that might not necessarily live up to your expectations. This would be huge. So for that, as somebody that's been playing Zombies since the very inception of it, when it was just a secret game mode for completing World at War's campaign, and maybe doesn't advertise it as much here on this channel, that alone gets me incredibly excited. So fingers crossed, but that is the stuff here that was found out of both Vanguard and Black Ops Cold War's game files here since the Season 2 Reloaded update. And that essentially is where we're going to conclude everything. So that said, let me know your thoughts down below. Is there anything in particular you guys are really looking forward to, whether that be new maps, operators, a new perk in Vanguard, or any of these new maps, both MP and Zombies, or I guess maybe returning maps, not necessarily new? Are you guys looking forward to any of that? I know that I'm definitely looking forward to the prospect of more Zombies maps coming for Black Ops Cold War. But that said, that's going to wrap it up. So I'd love to get your thoughts and feedback down there in the comment section down below. If you guys enjoyed the video, do me a favor and drop a like on it. And if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single thing regarding all things Call of Duty. That said, thanks so much for watching. My name is Espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care and peace.